Right. السلام عليكم. أهلا وسهلا إيماليا.
أهلا أستاذة راجع.
كيف حالك اليوم؟
جيدة وأنت؟
أنا جيدة شكرا. So we're going to start Unit 2 in الكتاب vocabulary. That's going to be page 41 and page 42. So as we start, I will just write down again the few phrases that we use as I ask you questions. هذه الوحدة أو الوحدة. This unit we have كلمات سهلة. عندنا كلمات سهلة مثل كلمات سهلة easy words أو مفردات. مفردات vocabulary. مفردات سهلة. So مفردات سهلة صفحة 41. So we have the word باب. باب. ما معنى باب يا إيمانيا؟
door.
ممتاز جميل. باب. وعندنا اسم. ما معنى اسم؟
name.
ممتاز جميل. ثم عندنا ما. When I said ثم I meant then. ثم عندنا we have عندنا is we have. You see how we have the noon? It always refers to us.
Okay.
We have it also here. عندنا we have. So عندنا ما and ma is quite funny because sometimes in some dialects they refer to water as ma, like in the Moroccan dialect we just say ma, but in formal Arabic it's ma for water. But this isn't water. This one is what?
Is it just intonation that tells you if they're asking a question or they want water?
Well, I can say something like this. Well, I have to say actually, I had to speak in the dialect to make it sound like it's water that I'm asking for. So as soon as I speak the dialect, you can tell that I'm asking for water because I would say in Moroccan Arabic, بغيت الماء, بغيت الماء, or بغيت ماء. But if you're like, I want water. But if you're using Fusha, which is what we're learning here, Fusha, which is standard Arabic, you're going to say أريد, I want, أريد ماء, أريد ماء من فضلك, and of course, please, أريد ماء من فضلك. But in, not that we say min fadlik all the time. So ma, in some other dialects they would say maya, right? Is that what you say in Egyptian or Levantine? Maya? Okay. So maya, I think it's written like that. But so just to go back to our vocab word is ma, is for what? Ma اسمك, ما اسمك. What's your name? So every time you're using ma, you're referring to what plus verb to be. ما هذا, what's this? ما هذا, what's this? So let me clear parts of this, that way you can only see ma, and I'll write the example that I just said earlier. Is with ma only for questions, and you're saying ما اسمك, ما اسمك? What is your name? ما اسمك? ما اسمك? And that's a question. As I was saying, every time you use ma, you are referring to what with verb to be or what is. ما هذا? ما هذا? What's this? هذا and this. Do you remember if this is masculine or feminine?
This is masculine. This.
Great. So that's masculine. The feminine form of this would be, do you remember?
هذه.
جميل. هذه feminine, and then we have هذا. هذا. هذه and هذا. جميل. So there we go. هذه and هذا. Let's do now the next one, الكلمة الأخرى. And I think this one you already know it. Let's clear. And I'm just gonna write it and you tell me what these words are.
أهلا بك.
ممتاز. ما معنى أهلا بك؟
Like welcome you.
ممتاز. جميل. So this is a reply to أهلا وسهلا. If someone is saying أهلا وسهلا, you say أهلا بك. Or when you are welcoming someone to your house, أهلا بك في بيتي. And if we want to address, this is we're addressing a male. If we want to address a female, what do we say?
أهلا بك.
ممتاز. جميل. أهلا بك. جيد. We learned peace be upon you. What is it again?
السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum. If we reply or we want to respond to Assalamu alaikum, do we say Ahlan bika or we have a different response?
A different response.
Which is?
Assalam. No. Walaikum assalam.
Jameel. Can you say it a little bit louder?
Wa alaikum assalam.
Jameel. Wa alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. So I'm just going to make sure I write the meme properly. Wa alaikum assalam. What happens in this case, a lot of people, they're still learning how to trace the Arabic script. So I want just to leave a note that when it comes to lam, it's always connected to whatever letter this way, because people confuse it with alif. Alif, it never connects. So you could connect it, it never connects at the beginning like this. So if you put in it at the beginning, it never connects. But if it's in the middle, it does connect to before. Lam connects this way, to the left side. Alif connects to the right side if it's in the middle of the word. But if it crosses lam, it has to be basically just like, let me do it a darker color. It has to happen like this. As basic as you can write it, as simple as you can write it, because there are other scripts where you can find lam like this. There are people that write it like that. But at the beginning, I always suggest that people can visually remember which direction the lam goes and which direction the alif crosses it.
Because they still look like the respective letters when you write it that way.
I'm sorry?
They still look like, it still looks like lam and alif when you write it the top way.
I don't think I heard that right, sorry.
So like the first way that you wrote it, the way that we're supposed to write it in class, You can still tell what the individual letters are, but the
Yes.
other two, you can't, or I can't.
That's true, exactly. So you cannot tell if you're writing, if you see a script like this, you can't tell which one is which, right? But if you're doing it this way, you can. That's exactly what you were saying, right?
Yep, yeah.
Okay, great. So this you can tell that this is lam and this is alif. Here it's hard to tell, or sometimes you don't know which one is crossed and which. But the beginning level, it's always advised to do it like this. Great. The other كلمة الأخرى.
Do you want me to say them after you write them?
Yes, please. So subject, pronouns. So this unit, it introduces subject pronouns. So I'm going to write them down, and please repeat them after me, okay? أنت.
أنت.
أنتِ.
أنتِ.
هو.
هو.
هي.
هي.
أنت. ما معنى أنت؟
He.
أنت.
Oh, you, sorry, you masculine.
جميل. أنا أنتِ.
You feminine.
جميل. وهو.
He.
وهي.
She.
ممتاز جميل. So if I'm saying what does that mean?
And.
And جميل. و. So it's not part of the word, it's just an additional word. That's one letter. The other ones we have is أين.
أين.
ما معنى أين؟
Where.
ممتاز جميل. أين. The other part is quite interesting. It has من أين. ما معنى من أين؟
From where?
ممتاز. So here, as I'm writing these new words, I do not want to forget about what I learned earlier. حضرتك, مرحبا بك, أهلا وسهلا. So let's say I want to address a person politely and ask him, where are you from, sir? What would you say, Emalia?
من أين أنت؟
The formal way?
So من أين حضرتك؟
جميل. من أين حضرتك؟ من أين حضرتك؟ جميل. And then حضرتك or حضرتك عفوا. حضرتك. من أين حضرتك? And let's say you want to use ma again. You don't want to forget about your vocab. As you're doing Unit 2, you still need to activate them and put them in sentences. So you want to say, what is your name, sir? What would you say?
ما اسمك حضرتك؟
ما. Oh, that's a very good sentence actually. When you're saying ma ism, you don't put ka, the possessive ka, in there because you already have it in you, sir, or the formal way of saying you.
So you say you, that would be saying you twice?
Yeah, you'd be saying like your name, you, sir. It's like a lot of yous. So ma ismu hadratika. As soon as you say ma ismuka, you don't have to use hadratuk.
Okay. So ما اسم حضرتك or ما اسم حضرتك.
ممتاز جميل. ما اسم حضرتك. ما اسم حضرتك. جميل. أو ما اسم حضرتك. عفوا حضرتك. So we have to make sure we say tuki and ka. جميل. In some cases you might find people pronouncing حضرتك. It all depends again on the dialect and what people are used to when they are pronouncing certain formal words from Fusha. So as long as you can determine the h, the r, t, k sounds, the accent changes depending on the dialect. Okay? All right, so the other word we have is I want to use نعم.
نعم.
ما معنى نعم؟
Yes.
جيد. ولا.
لا.
نعم. لا. نعم. لا. اسمك ليلى؟
لا.
جميل. اسمك إيماليا؟
نعم.
نعم. So هل, the other part, it's not introduced in here, but you can say هل is, it's in a question. هل اسمك? هل اسمك is your name. هل اسمك إيماليا? Or you can say ما اسمك. So here there are two different ways of asking questions with two different meanings. Here, is your name? Is your name this? نعم and لا. So this is for yes and no. So هل اسمك ليلى؟
لا اسمي أموية.
ممتاز. لا اسمي. And then here you have the possessive pronouns. So this is for my, your. So اسمك, اسمك, and we have a whole video that we have available about possessive pronouns. So possessive pronouns are always attached to what?
Verbs?
To the noun.
Nouns.
So let's say your door, you want to say your door. What would you say?
بابي.
بابك.
Oh, your door, sorry. I thought you meant my door.
And let's say you want to say my door.
بابي.
جميل. So here you say ba, and then look, you're doing e, baby, just like you have it here with no, my name is. So the my here is just this yeah over here. And your is the ka when you're doing masculine. The other words, as you are introduced to more words, you have also hadratuk. And then you can say his, hadratuka, like what's his name? And you're referring to him formally, and you say ma ismu hadratuhu, ma ismu hadratuhu, ma ismu hadratuhu. And here you're practicing ma, and then you're doing hadra. And then you're also practicing the possessive pronoun. Ma, afwan, I have to put, let me do it again. So what we have, ma ism, and then hadratuhu. Ma ism hadratuhu. ما اسم حضرته. What's his name? That's a formal way of saying. So you're using what's, and you're using name, and then you're using formal way of you. That's also his, and then you're using possessive pronoun. See how many words you can put together in one sentence?
Yes.
All right, so Unit 2 is all about these words and then possessive pronouns, uh, questions like ma, and then name, you formally, yes and no, and then you have door and name. And of course, a few greeting phrases. So as you are learning Alif Ba vocabulary, make sure you develop a learning style where you're writing the word at least 3 times as slowly as you can. If you're writing ism, write it at least 3 times. That way you're used to visually recognize the word if it comes to you in a script. Do you have any questions about these words, Malia?
لا.
شكرا جزيلا Himalia, and then I'll see you in our next study session for Unit 3. Thank you for joining me today, Malia.